guys, gals, and non binary pals. You are stepping into the box, and this episode is light skin versus brown skin versus dark skin. We are tackling the problems with colorism in our community. So, panelists, say hi.
Hey.
Hi.
These are the beautiful ladies that I have a chance to have a conversation with today. And I just want to put it out there. This is our first all women panel of the season. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. So, ladies, when was the first time that you realized that colorism had an effect on you? I'm gonna start us off with this tidbit. I think I realized it. So I'm big on Family Matters and Steve Urkel. Like I'm a fanatic, and I watched Family Matters as like a kid, right? And I'm looking at it, and then they introduced Myra, and mentally I was like, but Steve has always liked Laura. Why are they introducing her? Like what is going on? So my brain didn't really compute it, but then it was like in middle school I got bullied a little bit, and it was like, well, you can handle it, you have tough skin. And then the lighter skinned girls would be like, stop, she's so sweet, she's delicate, like she's a little upset, whereas with me it was like she's aggressive, she's angry. And it hit harder, but I didn't have a word to compute what was going on.
Yeah, definitely. I would have to say it was in school with me as well because I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and I'm at a predominantly black school. So it was like also an elementary school. So nobody really cared about what your race was. Like everybody was just cool with everybody. But it wasn't until I moved to North Carolina in a predominantly white school that I realized you can't just be like, oh yeah, I'm cool with these people, because I would hang out with the white girls and they'll be like, you're trying to act white. And I'm just like, wait, what? And then, the white girls would start dating, the guys on the baseball team and all this and that. And I would talk to the white guys and it would just be like a disdain. And I would just be like, why is it like that? So then I kind of realized it. So I started to I also like the black guys. So I went and tried to talk to the black guys. And then one day it was said behind my back, but they didn't know, like I could hear it. It was, I don't like dark skinned girls. And it's like, I don't really consider myself dark, but I knew that I was darker than the light skinned girls. And that's when I realized, like, wow. But I thought it was just that one dude. Mm-hmm. And then it started to multiply. And then I started to get Instagram. And then I see guys commenting on Shade Room and them saying the same thing. And I started to think, wow, like, colorism? This is what it is? Like, it's a real thing. It happens to everybody. So that's really when it clicked for me, definitely.
Yeah, mine was in school too, but I think mine started like early, like elementary school. And I went to like a predominantly white school, but there was like, I mean, we it's not diverse, but there was like a few other black kids. But I was still like the darkest girl in any class, like any class in my school. And it was always the other black boys who sometimes are like darker than me, who would like call me like a burnt cookie or like, darky. And I had like, it was weird because I grew up, I'm the darkest person in my family, but I was still like, my mom really put it in me like, you're beautiful, like no matter what. And so I was like, hey, like I'm cute. But then I got to school and I was like, okay, so like there's a difference between me and her. So that's, yeah, I was pretty young when I experienced it.
Mine also happened in school, but I feel like mine was different. I'm adopted from a white family, and the elementary school I went to was predominantly white. And so I was the only black kid up until my 7th grade year. And I didn't really have interaction with other people of color because like the neighborhoods and the schools were all predominantly white. So when I got to high school, I'd try to interact with black people, but then they would say I was acting too white, and my white friends would say that I'm acting too black. So I was kind of in a predicament there.
it's a huge conflict when it comes down to it because I feel like since we were at such a young age when it hit, it was very much so like an identity crisis a little bit because I have one side of me that's like I'm a black woman. Like that's what I am. And then the other side of me is like, well, does it make me less of a black woman because I'm lighter or because I'm darker? And it's very much so a conflict of interest of where we navigate even before we knew about social media. Because now I feel like social media plays a huge role in colorism. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I be seeing some of the tweets that some black men be putting out, and I'm like, um, like especially with I don't know if y'all know, but like the Megan Thee Stallion incident where she got shot in her foot, and the first thing that I saw was she looked hard. She looked hard. Like I don't know how you feel about that, Kalea, but she looked hard. Like and it was a lot of men saying it, and they weren't just talking about her height.
Yeah, like they will always. I think it also dates back to like even before the incident when she just came out on the scene because a lot of female rappers they were, just very girly and very dainty, but she came out like I guess you could say she was hard with it and wasn't overly feminine like they wanted her to be. And she's like, I'm a savage. And then when that happened, they're like, oh, I guess she ain't that much of a savage. And like, look at her. Like, it shouldn't have affected her. And then when she came out and was like, black women are unprotected, they're like, oh, here they go again, talking about this. They're not protected. But it's like, y'all didn't protect her. You thought she was lying. But if it was Kylie, let me say it
It
again.
was Kylie.
If it was Kylie that got shot, it would have not only with black men, but also like the blogs, like the news. They would have been plastering it everywhere. So there was a double standard.
And I feel like that's always been there. Like it's always been. I don't know if y'all know. I reference TV shows all the time. When Aunt Viv wasn't Aunt Viv no more from the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, we also had that situation. How like you have this beautiful dark skinned woman and she switches out. Why if there was gonna be a switch, why did we have to change everything about Aunt Viv? Because it's not like she jumped to being light skinned. No, Aunt Viv was, I consider the new Aunt Viv brown skin. But I know like stage lights and lightings and everything like that. I consider her being brown skin. However, why when I look at it, we see this switch in like season 6, and it's like whoa, and then like the whole attitude changes. I don't know about you ladies, but I feel like with darker skin tones, they automatically tell us that we are aggressive. Like it's automatically a thought that we are the aggressors, and it's very upsetting. And like Nikki, feel free to like give me life on this situation because I feel like when they hit black women who aren't like in the stereotypical like this how black woman is supposed to react, and they see you have darker skin, they automatically push a stereotype on you.
Yeah. And like I remember like I would hang out with like my friends' family and stuff, and there'd be like a small situation, and they'd always be like, "Ooh, Nikki, don't get ghetto." And like, what do you mean? Why would I get ghetto? What does that even mean? Would you say that to like that person? No, they wouldn't. But like because I was dark or because I'm black, then automatically I'm the type to get ghetto. So yeah, I think it's ridiculous. It's so annoying.
it's very upsetting, but then you also have to, I have, my best friend is extremely light skinned. I love her to death. She is a beautiful light skinned woman, and she has been like told, oh, well, you acting like you dark skinned. And I don't like mentally when she told me that, I was like, well, what do they expect you to act like? Like this is really an issue, because when we come down to it, even though like some black women, like we come inward and we say things to each other, majority of it is coming from like black men. And I think that's where my heart is like, come on, y'all. Like y'all mamas are black, y'all great grandmothers are dark skinned, your auntie is dark skinned, your uncle wife is light skinned. Like this is a thing. This is a thing, and like with me personally, it's been one of those things where it's kind of like, how are we how are we gonna come together if we still putting us in categories? Go ahead, Kalea.
Yeah, it like when you said that, it kind of reminded me of Kodak Black. I forgot what he said. It was something like, he was saying he can't date a dark skinned woman,
Because
and
she's
he could
tough
only
and
go.
she's a roach. I heard a roach from him before. He has tweeted a roach.
And then they had this brown skin reporter go up to him during like a celebrity basketball game or something, and she was just like, "So can you elaborate on what you're trying to say?" And he was like, "Well, this is what he said. He said that dark skinned women, y'all are too gutter, and we just need somebody that we can tone down. So that's why we go to light skinned women." And it's like, you're disrespecting both sides of the spectrum, because you're saying that dark skinned women are too gutter, but at the same time, you need somebody you can control, so you feel that you can control a light skinned woman. It's not making sense to me.
Because if 2 plus 2 equals 4, and 4 plus 4 equals 8, then what is this? Because at this point, I feel like now it's a standard with light skinned women as well, that y'all have to be dainty and y'all have to be like, save me, Romeo, oh Romeo. And really and truly, that's that's not it. Like, yes, there are certain women that follow and fall into those categories, but when it comes down to it, like, why is there so much pressure for, like, I know I'm big on like watching TikTok. There's a light skin versus dark skin trend where like the song Shawty a little baddie, she my little boo thing, and Shawty got that fatty. Like they switch up when Pop Smoke comes on versus when the other dude comes on, and it's very much so like, if you're gonna say Shawty a little bit, you gotta have your hair swooped like dudes have long hair. And then when it comes into Pop Smoke's part, it's very much so like raw, like I'm gonna put it in your face. Um, Liv, I really wanna know your personal like experience when it comes down to like media and like the portrayal of black women.
Okay, I was gonna bring this up. So every time I see like a movie and there's a dark skinned girl in there, she's always sassy, aggressive, like, and like I watch these movies with my white sisters and they notice and they're like, so why is the dark skinned girl in the movie always sassy and aggressive and quirky and all that? So yeah, and then like light skinned women are seen as, like you said, dainty and
Mm-hmm.
damsel in distress, nice. And personally, I used to be that way. Like I was shy, I was dainty, I spoke very lightly, but that changed obviously because I'm not living to anybody's standards.
Period.
But yeah.
Yeah, like I honestly understand what you're talking about, because it's also the dark skinned girl is the friend. She's always a
Yeah.
sassy friend telling you, do not go to that man.
Yeah.
Girl, like all this and that. But she's never the lead. She's never the quirky girl. She's never the one trying to fall in love. She has to be the one pushing the main character on what not to do with like a sassy way. And that's just been the stereotype we've seen over and over and over again. And then we have people like Issa Rae that's like changing it and coming out with a rom-com or a romance movie where the dark skin is the lead. Why is it flopping? Why is nobody watching?
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, the one with her and Lakenneth, because that's my baby. Lakeith, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But with him, me and my boo at the time went and watched it, and it was upsetting because we look around the movie theater, and this is like the second week. So y'all know when they put out romance movies, like the second week, the movie theater's still popping. And we look around and it's like maybe 2 or 3 people on a date going to see it. And it kind of just it makes it upsetting because we've been so conditioned to, well, obviously she's gonna be sassy in the movie. Cause obviously like she's dark skinned. So when it comes out and you see it, and most people are just willing to see it because they want to keep this stereotype in their head that okay, dark skinned women are supposed to be like this, light skinned women are supposed to be like this, and then me, I consider myself as a brown skinned woman, but mentally, I'd be like, so we can't be too dainty, but we can't be ourselves. Like mentally, I've always been the person with like the loudest voice in the room. I've never been able to whisper. That's just not a thing because I project my voice. I've always been, my mama has always told me to be your complete self. So I've always done that. But when those stereotypes hit, and it's like, oh, well, we see why you act that way because you're dark skin, you're brown skin. It's kind of like, wow. Okay, so how do I feel as a black girl? How do I go forward as a black girl? I want to ask y'all, why do y'all feel like the black community has gotten so accustomed to these stereotypes? Like, why are we so dependent on light skin versus dark skin? Because right now it's really like it's an inner war between the black community on light skins versus dark skin.
Honestly, if I'm being totally honest, it's because of how we grow up and what we see on in the media, like everything, especially like you say on TV shows that we grow up watching, and even just lack of representation at all. Maybe it's sometimes not even stereotypes. And when you go on Instagram, even now, you scroll, you always see the same thing. You always see light skinned women being praised. And then you go to TikTok or you go to World Star and you see it's always the darker skinned woman is the butt of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like it's kind of like peer pressure kind of thing, a mass hysteria. Like, oh, everybody else is doing this, I'm going to hop on the trend. Like I don't want to be different, and then everybody pointing at me like, you like dark skinned women, you think they're like this? No, they're like this. We see it in this TV show, we see it in this movie. And that's pretty much how it is. Like it starts from seeing cartoons, then you see them have a dark skinned woman at first, and then as the show goes on she gets lighter and lighter in cartoons. Mm-hmm. And then you grow up and you look at Netflix and you're like, well, there's no dark skinned women here. I'm just seeing light skinned women, It's really the media. That's what I feel.
Yes, definitely.
I definitely think it's the media. And like we grew up on, like when I got Disney Plus, I was like, the first thing I'm going to watch is The Proud Family. And I was so shocked to see like the representation of Penny between like Dejanay and how they were portrayed. And we grew up on that stuff. But also, and I've said this before, but I think white supremacy is so like embedded into like life, and like I don't know, to white people. If you are lighter, then you are less black, and if you're darker, then you're more, whatever those stereotypes are. And because white supremacy is so embedded into society, that's also embedded into the Black community. So I think that has a lot to do with it. It's just like us we were set up to live within a white world, and I think that's just what we're doing. Um, and because of that, we can't come together. We're always hating on each other.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree. It's how you're raised in the media. Like, I mean, I personally wasn't raised in a bad light or anything, and I see, no matter what your skin color, I see you as beautiful. Like, it's what matters, what's on the inside. Like, if you're a good person on the inside, I see you as beautiful. I don't care about your skin color. I mean, sure, I love your skin color, beautiful, pop that melanin, period. But like, I feel like we shouldn't be focusing so much on your skin color because like Black people as a whole are seen as exotic, but then when it comes to like Black men seeing Black women, like regardless of skin color, light skinned women are more attractive and dark skinned women are less attractive. But I don't understand that. There are hundreds, millions of Black women, dark skinned women who are gorgeous, and I just don't understand how Black men can't see that.
I feel like, and this is just coming from like my inner thoughts, right? As a Black woman, that like my intersection between womanhood, being a Black woman, and then being plus size. Um, the media sees one being darker skinned as being welfare child. Like if you look at all of the advertisements, like I took a class last semester, you look at the advertisements of the kids in Africa, you never see lighter skinned Africans. And they're out there. Like they're out there. When you see the commercials, you see a darker skinned woman struggling with 6 kids. When you look at music videos, the ratchet girl is always a dark skinned girl with long, long, long hair, long nails. And we haven't really normalized like Black girls being Black girls. Like I feel like we haven't normalized that it's okay if a Black girl is herself. And herself should not be categorized as, oh well, she's dark skinned, this is why she acts that way. She's light skinned, this is why she acts that way. Or you're acting too light skinned, you're acting too dark skinned. Because at the end of the day, Black girls don't ask to be labeled. We want to exist. We just want to exist in a world that like appreciates everything that we have to give without trying to pull us down. And lastly, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ladies, um, what are some things that you would like to tell another Black girl who looks like you, right? That's dealing with colorism, dealing with the media underrepresenting her, or the media telling her that she has to be this specific way. I don't know, it's a lot to think about. Like, I always think of things about how I tell my little sister things. And I know personally, I would just tell that Black girl that you're beautiful, number one. Number two, it is uncomfortable to be yourself. It really is. It's uncomfortable to be yourself around a bunch of people who don't want you to be yourself. However, that should not stop you from being yourself. That should not stop you from loving the skin that you're in. And like Liv said earlier, that should not stop you from seeing other people as beautiful for what they possess on the inside instead of on the outside.
When this question comes to mind, I usually think about like what I'd tell myself like younger, because I grew up, predominantly white family, everything. I grew up straightening my hair all the time, killing it, having a lighter shade of foundation, talking different, just like trying to be quiet because I may have been like the loudest person in my family, but in school I was quiet. I did not talk. I tried to keep this professional side of me that wasn't me. And like just like recently, like maybe junior year of high school. I'm a sophomore in college now, but junior year in high school was when I really like started to find myself and like really tried to process everything and try to become myself. So what I tell myself as like a child, like, don't live up to those standards. You need to find yourself. It's going to be a long, hard process. You're going to want to stop. You're going to want to be somebody else that you aren't. But in the long run, you're going to appreciate who you really are for your skin, for your accent, for the way you talk. No matter what, you're going to love yourself.
When I think about this, I think about myself when I was younger too. Um, there's two things that I think I would tell a dark-skinned little girl. The first one would be that it's like you don't have to try to not be that stereotype. Like if that's who you are, then be that. Like you don't have to try to talk a different way or act a different way around people to not come off as the dark-skinned black girl. Um, and also, I think that it's okay to figure out that, like, you don't have to, um, I don't know, always be okay, I guess. Like, I felt like when I was younger, I always had to, like, it wasn't black to not be okay. And so I think that's, yeah, you don't, like, it's not a racial thing. Just, yeah, that's one thing.
Yeah, I would have to say the same thing. I was thinking about my younger self, and more so when I was younger, going to that predominantly white school, I found myself trying to be like the white girls in order to get people to like me. And, looking back at it, I cringe. I cringe at making those little racial jokes so that I could get like laughing points and from the white people and getting them to like me. Um, I would say to, for one, just stop and look at yourself in the mirror and look at the beauty that you see in the mirror. Embrace the differences that you see from everybody else at your school, that you see in the media. If you feel yourself even just changing the way you talk, the way you dress, your hobbies, and doing something that you think you're going to do to get somebody else to like you, just stop immediately. Because when you lose yourself, it's one of the darkest places and hardest places to get yourself out of. And it takes a lot of work for you to be who you are. So being who you are is the best thing you could ever do for yourself and for your future self. And you are your own best friend. You need to love yourself because at the end of the day, those people in school aren't going to care about you. Those people in the media are not going to care about you. If they don't care about you now, as long as you care about yourself and you say to yourself, I'm smart enough, I'm good enough, I'm pretty enough, I can make it this far, that's all you need, honestly. Like, what do I care about what these people talking about, saying that I can't do something? Mm-hmm. How do you know? You think the stereotype can't do it. I'm not a stereotype. I'm not a statistic. I am me, and I am she.
Yes, ma'am. Come on now, wise words. I want to send this message out to every black woman listening to this right now. Love yourself and support other black women. Even though people will try to pit us against each other, have those conversations. Talk to the other black women in your work or at your school and your study projects and be like, hey girl, how you doing? And not fall and conform into the thought process that if she's dark skinned, she's like this. If she light skinned, she's like this. Love each other because I'm going to be honest, we are the least protected in society. And if we don't love each other and hold each other up, then who will? Honestly. And if you're a black man watching this, protect black women at all costs. No matter what shade she is,
Say it
no
again.
matter what size. Protect black women. It doesn't matter how she look. It don't matter if you know her, if you don't know her. Protect her. Because black girls are important. Black women are important. And we gonna get there. We're gonna learn how to love ourselves and we're gonna learn how to love each other. As always, thank you so much for stepping into the box. And I want you to know that you are beautiful the way that you are, and never let the world change you. And I hope to see you next week. Bye, y'all.